American Kenpo Techniques, Alternates, Episode 2. If you're unfamiliar with this series, we explore different American Kenpo techniques that have the same name that are done slightly differently depending on the school, instructor, and lineage that they come from. If you're unfamiliar with this in American Kenpo, Edmund K. Parker, who created the American Kenpo karate system, had a wish. And if you follow the channel, well, even if you don't, you can go back and scroll through. Recently, I had posted a quote by Parker where he specifically wanted to make sure his art was not traditionalized so that it could grow and expand with the different demographics it was taught in. Parker spread his system across the globe and indeed got his wish as many instructors teach techniques slightly differently. There are two techniques in the American Kenpo system that are often referred to when it comes to this type of thing, and that is twin kimono and raking mace. They teach different lessons, but they look very, very similar. One essentially ends in an elbow and chop, and the other one ends in a chop and then an elbow. The attacks are similar, the motion is similar, but they do teach different lessons. It is with that, having gone through and trained in 6 different lineages, and while I haven't learned everything in all of those lineages, trained in 6 different lineages of American Kenpo, I've seen a whole lot of different versions of how Kenpo is done in different places. And I love sharing it because it's all more that we can adapt and learn. That is always a good thing. For episode 2, we're going over deflecting hammer. Deflecting hammer is a right front snap kick to the midsection, sometimes taught the groin, but typically chest and below, with the attackers coming in with a right front snap kick. So they are here, just like that. Fairly universally, one of the first things that we are taught is to not step back, but to step up off of the line. If we step back, we can get, well, kicked, depending on their range. We're going to start with a right downward hammer fist, stepping up off of the line and going to about 8 o'clock, 8:30, almost as if we're going straight out, but just back at the angle a little bit, while executing a right downward block, coming up to a cat stance with our right foot and keeping our left hand high, maintaining a guard and check. Right here. Now this is interesting because some will teach this as a downward parry as we step back. I like what Jeff Speakman said about this specifically, and it is something that ever since I saw that seminar, I have always closed my fist. You close your fist when a kick comes in, because if it gets jammed like that, well, you ever caught a baseball or a football and had your fingers get jammed? You're not using that hand for the next couple of minutes. And it can very easily happen sparring to any type of real attack. So I always teach it as close your fist. You'll be thankful you did. As this kick comes in to our midsection and lower, we are not going to step back. We are going to step up off at the angle. Not straight to 9 o'clock, but also not back to 6 o'clock. I'm going to aim for right between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, and I'm going to drop my right hammer fist down as a downward block. I'm up on a cat stance with my right foot, my right knee upward, and my left hand checking here on the outside of his kick. I'm catching there and downward, going off at the angle and having this trajectory so that I can go straight back in, go off at the flank, going into a cat stance, right downward hammer fist as our left hand comes up to check. From right here, we're going to shuffle in, and this is where it gets different between different techniques, different instructors. From this point, as we shuffle in, the most commonly taught is that we shuffle in right up off his hip, taking our right elbow to the face and our left hand to the back of his head to sandwich his head, just like that. We'll call that version 1 as it's one of the most common ones. Version 2 is the same exact thing in the beginning. We go off to the flank, we get that downward block to that kick, we shuffle in, and we check on his leg right here. This can be done with the knee, or it can be done with the back of the calf and the leg collapsing on down, but it's often taught where you're here and you connect onto his leg there to check him so that when you do this elbow, it can send him backwards. As we're here, we're going to catch, just like that, and his body momentum can fall back. Well, that version 2. Version 3 is interesting because I've seen this done a few times too. The placement's the same, but the timing is what's different. So the kick comes in, we go up the angle, we do the downward block, and our left hand checks high. We still come in and check the leg. This time, we take our left hand of the sandwiching elbow in first, grab the back of the head, and we pull him into the elbow, essentially grabbing and pulling his head forward to meet the elbow there instead of at the same time, like that. And the interesting thing about this is it gives it a little bit of a whiplash. So that was version 3, and in version 4, I like this a lot too. So the kick comes in, we go up off at the angle, we get that hammer fist down, our left hand checks high, our left leg comes in, and this is pretty common amongst the black belts. You'll see a lot of checks like that more often than in the beginning classes. When we've gotten this far, coming in here, and one of the first things that we do with this is that as we're coming up to do the sandwiching elbow, they reverse the motion essentially on the last strike. And I like this because it was just a little bit extra. So we come up and we do the sandwiching elbow, and as this pulls off, you send yourself, instead of sending him this way, you send yourself this way by doing a back elbow into the back of the head, just like that. Essentially, when we've gone up off at the angle, we come in and we strike, and this was done at the same time, and then we elbow back into the back of the head, or side of the head, depending on where he is. And I like that too, just because it's a little something extra in a fairly basic technique. So, once again, we have version 1, off at the angle, step up, sandwiching elbow. Don't forget to do your cover outs. Version 2, up off at the angle, checking the leg, same time, sandwiching elbow. And I have my cover outs. Version 3, we go up off at the angle, downward block. From our cat stance, our left hand goes high. We come up and we check the leg, pulling the back of his head into the elbow strike, lending him to be able to fall backwards much easier, hitting our double cover out. And version 4, we go up off at the angle, downward block, cat stance, and left hand goes high. Our right leg comes into check, and we do these at the same time still, but then we pull it off and go elbowing to the back of the head, sending him that way instead of that way, and hit our double cover out. Now, it's important to remember the only right way to do this is what your instructor tells you is the right way to do it for your school, your instructor going through and going to be testing you on their version. Outside of that, if you're past that rank, or you are somebody who doesn't have a current instructor who's going to be testing you on these things, well, then it's really fun to be able to experiment with different ideas. That's the only time you end up with a right or wrong version is, well, if you're going to be testing. Outside of that, there are so many different ways to be able to do these things, and it's really nice to be able to experiment with different concepts of motion and building up our library of motion. I'm Instructor Thompson, my Self-Defense Studio. If you're looking for a self-defense tool that you can use right now, the Soul Defender is the only self-defense tool that I absolutely do encourage people to look into and get. This company's technology in both devices that they sell sends out emergency alerts to 24/7 dispatch and contact the police for you, as well as your own emergency contacts. Meaning you can let your loved ones know that you need help right now, the push of a button, or if you end up having to engage with this spray. You can find and use this code here and get yours today. I'm Instructor Thompson, my Self-Defense Studio.